Hey, this is Liz Bentley, and today I'm here with Joan Herlong, and I am so excited because Joan has actually come up here from Greenville, South Carolina,
Mhm.
to visit New York and to come out and visit with me. And we are today talking about her book, As Is, an insider's guide to real estate. And this is fantastic. This is being published by Forbes, and it just came out about a week ago.
On Tuesday. Yeah.
On Tuesday. So I'm really excited to be talking to Joan and getting the inside scoop right now as it
Thank
hits
you
the
for
market.
having me. I
Mm.
really appreciate it.
Yes. So first thing I wanted to ask Joan was what made you write the book? How did it even, what
Well,
got
I'd
you
love to
started?
say revenge, but that's not true. It's not that kind of a book. That one's coming.
Mm.
I did it really because after every notable transaction or incident within a transaction, if whether it was positive or, but more often negative, I would say, well, that's another chapter in the book, or that's going in the book. And I'd often say it to clients too. And Jack, whom you know,
Mhm.
Jack Herlong is one of my brokers in charge, and he's our chief strategy officer. And about 4 or 5 years ago, he was like, well, every time I would say, that's going to be a chapter in the book, he would say, well, when are you going to write it? But you're just all talk. Why don't you just write it? And I used to write a column in our local newspaper. And so I thought, oh, how different could it be? Oh, it's a lot different. But I did it so that did it to write it down before I forgot it all.
Right.
You know,
Right. And who is this book for?
this book is for you. This book is for buyers and sellers,
Okay.
and it's also hopefully for other people in the real estate industry, not profession, industry. It's my small effort to try to raise the bar because it's too low in just about every respect. It's so easy to be awesome
Okay.
because the bar is so low. But this is my effort to raise the bar.
And to really, when you say raise the bar, help agents get better at their trade and their skill and their profession in general?
I think
is that your thought there?
Yes, I think that people have the right to expect a lot more from their real estate agent. But first, they have to know what more to expect.
Right.
And I've been doing this since 1993, full time. Although one of my daughters said, don't say that, because she's also in the business. And she said that every annoying older realtor who does something
Mhm.
that they shouldn't be doing will lecture her and say, young lady, I've been doing it this way for 22
Yeah,
years.
yeah.
And she's like, that's not a reason. That's
Right.
not an excuse or even an explanation. But anyway, it's really let's all do better.
Mhm.
Let's all do better, and empowering and educating buyers and sellers to know what more to expect.
Great. So really, it's both sides of the coin. For if you're buying a house or selling a house, you're going to
Mhm.
learn more about what you need to know, what you should be expecting,
Mhm.
and what should be your standard. If you're an agent, you're going to be learning about how to raise your bar, how to raise the bar,
How
get
to
better at
treat
what you do.
clients like clients and not
Right.
like a mark.
Right. Right.
And there's a lot of that out there.
Great.
I don't think I'm going to make a lot of friends in the real estate community
Okay.
by writing this, but I have enough friends.
She certainly does. Okay. So how about tell
Both of
me?
them are fine.
Tell me, what's your favorite story in the book?
I'd say my favorite story in the book, in terms of one that I can't believe I even lived through it, is the one where I had to fire an agent for having herself professionally photographed in the hot tub at her listing, holding a martini or a Cosmo or whatever, and saying, look what could be yours if you buy this house.
Yeah.
And didn't see that one coming.
Right.
That was a very
Right.
interesting marketing angle. But the thing that I really didn't see coming was when I instructed her to take it down immediately from social media, she declined.
Really?
She declined to take it down. There was just so much pushback.
Wow.
And, it was such uncharted waters
Right.
that it was like, how do you have a handbook for something that would never be on your radar?
Right.
And so I learned a lot. And one thing I learned is that when your gut tells you that this person is not coachable, is is not going to learn from this, then just let them go. Double secret probation doesn't work.
Right.
And but yeah, that was legendary. But
Yeah.
here's the thing about raising the bar.
Yeah.
When she was asked to leave the company, she didn't have any trouble getting picked up by another company.
Really?
I mean, like the next day.
Wow.
Nobody called and asked for a reference.
Wow.
That's about
Right.
that's about par for the course. The bar stays low
Stays low.
when nobody's checking. On the
Right.
other hand,
Yeah.
if your business model, and that's fine, there are some business models where what companies want are a lot of warm bodies. If your business model is we just want a lot of warm bodies, there are lots of them out there.
Right. Right.
And some of them wear bikinis in their marketing photos.
In their hot tubs.
Right.
So one thing I think that's important to note to our viewers is that not only is Joan an amazing real estate agent who's been very successful all the years that she's been in the business, but she also started her own firm. And so she's not only an agent, but she's also a CEO, and she runs her business and runs a real estate firm in Greenville, South Carolina with Sotheby's International Realty. So with that said, Joan, tell me a little bit about what you've learned along the way from your career, both being an agent and being a business owner.
Oh, wow. How much time have we got? Some of the skills that you use in terms of serving clients, buyers and sellers, do translate to leading agents, training agents, but a lot of them don't.
Okay.
You don't have to motivate a seller to show up for you.
Right.
You don't have to motivate a buyer to use this new tool that you have used successfully, and if they would just apply it to their business, it's a completely different situation. And I made the mistake, the assumption that I guess a lot of people who move from just being a realtor into running a real estate company, and they're thinking, yeah, I can do this.
Right.
And if I could, I wouldn't know Liz, because you've coached us through this, and particularly me, through this transition, because it is quite one thing to be a top producing broker. It's quite another to lead and try to create others without competing with them and inspiring them, and also not going nuts by spreading yourself too thin in the meantime.
Yeah. I want to go back for a second to the buyers and the sellers, to being on the side of the buyer and seller. What are some of the tips that they should be taking away from this book, and that they should be thinking about if I'm selling a home or I want to buy a home? Like, where should the bar be? What should be my thinking? You know, in reading this book, like, what were some of the tips you gave them?
I would say, in a nutshell, don't be afraid to ask questions. There's no such thing as a stupid question.
Okay.
You know, when I'm preparing one of my listings for market, helping one of my sellers, I come to it with the attitude of, okay, let's assume that every person who looks at this house is a retired engineer.
Right.
Because there's no detail too small. None. So let's anticipate the things that they're going to be concerned about, asking about, and let's have those answers in advance. Because if you can satisfactorily meet those expectations, then anybody else, you know, you want to sell it to,
it's going to be easy.
It's going to be easy.
Right. And you can solve it right in the moment.
Right. But also, buyers and sellers should trust their gut. If a buyer is asking questions and and it's just the early phases of the relationship, and they feel like they're bothering somebody, or they're not returning their calls, trust your gut. That's not the right fit for you.
Right.
Ask questions. That's it in a nutshell.
Okay.
I'm just trying to help you figure out what questions to ask.
Right. I like that. Yeah. So would you encourage people to go into this business?
You know, the first line in the book is, if you're thinking about going into real estate, please don't. And that's only partially tongue-in-cheek, because there are a lot of us. There are a lot of us. I mean, seriously, you can't spit without hitting a realtor in my corner of the world, and I'm sure that's true in your corner of the world too.
Yes.
Everybody can name probably 12 realtors.
Why do you think it is like that? Why do you think people get attracted into the business so much?
I think it's because a lot of them go into it for the wrong reasons. And I wish I had a dime for every time I've had coffee with somebody who's thinking about going into the business, and I ask them, why real estate? It's because I just love houses. I love houses. Always looked at houses, and I just love people. I'm really a people person, and I love people. No, I'm sorry. You know,
Right.
housing is a commodity. It's something you have to learn.
Right.
And people, your love for people, you'll get over that right quick.
That's going to be
You'll
short-lived.
yes, yeah. You
You
have
know,
to have a very thick skin.
Yeah, the other thing I hear people say is they think it's going to be flexible hours.
Yeah,
which
if you
can
don't
have
mind
flexible-
working when other people aren't,
Yeah, as
it's
long as you
very
don't mind working
flexible.
7 days a
Yeah,
week all the
exactly.
time.
Sounds
right.
very flexible to me.
Yeah,
Yeah,
right.
you're basically working
Right.
when other people are not.
Right, exactly. Right.
Yeah, so that's super
so would you
flexible.
encourage people to go into this industry?
I want them to go into
Yeah.
it with their eyes open. There's
Mhm.
no such thing as easy money.
Right.
I have a whole chapter on HGTV.
Okay.
I wish HGTV House Hunters were, completely reality TV. It is
Uh-huh.
not. Because if it were, then I would only show 3 houses and they would to each buyer, and they would have to pick one and be happily ever after.
Right.
It just doesn't work that way.
Right.
And HGTV kind of foments that myth out there that that it's easy. But here's the other thing: if something is easy, then what value do I bring to the table?
Right.
What I keep telling, when my agents come to me and saying, this happened and that happened, and I'm prone to that too, I remind them that when you have roadblocks, when you have obstacles, that's job security. If this were easy,
Right.
I
That's
wouldn't
good.
be here.
That's a
I'd be
great way
doing
of seeing it.
something else.
Right.
This
Well, it was
is not
easy.
easy.
People would represent themselves. I mean,
There's a lot of people out there who are like, by the way, I want to see your listing, but I don't need representation.
yeah.
And therefore, I want to waive something that isn't even offered to them.
Right.
And
Right.
and then you end up doing your job and the job that there should be on the other side of a buyer agent that knows what the heck they're doing. Because one of the most dangerous things in the world is an unrepresented customer who thinks they know everything,
Right.
and they don't. And you're not allowed to advise them, but you also don't want them to make terrible mistakes. And I really like it when there's a buyer agent on the other side, whether they're from my company or from an outside competitor. I welcome it when they are one of the few realtors in our market that I know and trust, because it's not going to go off the rails. There aren't going to be unrealistic expectations. It's going to be a smooth transaction.
Right.
Whereas if you're dealing with somebody who is brand new, or if you're dealing with somebody who is very new to a price range, you're talking about
Right. They've scaled up.
Yeah,
They don't know what
they
they're
feel
doing.
like they are so lucky
Right.
to be part of this. That
Yeah.
you think they're going to say anything that
Right.
their buyer doesn't want to hear? Oh,
Right.
hell no. So then it's my job. I'm the
Right.
queen of darkness who says,
Right.
no, that's actually not in the
Right.
contract.
Right.
Although I've learned lots of techniques, like from Liz, but instead of saying, are you out of your mind? Say, help me understand where it says in the contract that you're entitled to that. It doesn't.
So what about if I'm coming into the business and I am new? What's the up ramp? Like, what do you see there? What do I have to do to succeed? Because we know the percentage of people that actually succeed in this business is pretty low.
It is.
So what do I have to do to succeed?
So first of all, you've got to have realistic expectations.
Got
and
it.
you have to have some kind of a cushion.
Okay.
Because at the end of your first year,
Yes.
on average, if your income
Mm-hmm.
is about in balance with your expenses,
Yeah.
then you've got a really good chance
Okay.
But
So you're going to be flat at a minimum your first year.
to be successful. Yeah.
Yes.
But a lot of people are thinking, I need all this income, and they
Right.
forget about you got to do all these expenses.
Yeah.
You got to spend some money to make some money.
Right.
That was true when I began. It's true today, but a lot of realtors are they succumb to this baby bird syndrome
Yeah.
of feed me, and
Right.
it's this attitude of what have you done for me lately,
Right.
in terms of their management.
Right.
What
So what
and
gets
I
them
don't
over-
have realtors like that in my company. I'm interested in people who are entrepreneurial,
Mhm.
and I'm
Okay.
helping them build their business.
Right. Good. And what gets them over the hump?
Gosh, a lot of it is just tenacity.
Yeah.
Because
Staying with it.
like if you expect your family and friends
Mhm.
to disappoint you and not work with you, they will not disappoint that
Yeah,
expectation.
right. Right.
But that doesn't make your family and friends
Right.
bad people.
Right.
It makes them normal and protective of their stuff. You know, if you got to have surgery,
Right.
are you going to go to your next door neighbor who is just about to perform her
Right.
first surgery?
Right.
No, you're not.
Right. Of course.
You're not.
That's
And
a great analogy.
for most people,
Mhm.
their home purchase is the biggest transaction they might ever do.
Right.
But it, unlike buying stock in AT&T,
Mhm.
their ego isn't tied up in it.
Yeah.
Their emotions aren't tied up in
Right.
it. And real estate has that sort of cauldron of
Mhm.
money and emotions and all that.
Right.
So it's very hard to get your feelings hurt
Right.
during your first year, first couple of years, in terms of those people who choose to work with you, who are making an informed choice
You're right.
not to work with you. But the thing is, I've lost count of all the mistakes that I made
Right.
in my first couple of years. And thank God I made those mistakes with strangers and not with family and friends, because you know, my family won't let me forget what I said at Thanksgiving when I was 13. Why would they let me forget a mistake that I made on their deal?
With money involved.
Exactly.
Especially with their money involved.
Right.
That's great. I think that's a great comment and great advice. I think it also is very common for most entrepreneurs in all the businesses that we see, that there's so much learning in the beginning. Honestly, there's learning all the way through, as you know, but there's a lot of learning in the beginning. You make a lot of mistakes. You've got to be really resilient, and you've got to get your ego out of the way.
Right.
Because you're going to get your feelings hurt. And that's just a reality of doing business. So, with that said, those people do pick you once you get over the hump and you get good at the business.
And when you make those mistakes, just own them.
Yeah. Yeah.
You don't just say, I'm sorry, you're upset. That's not owning them.
Right.
You apologize, you own it, and you make amends for it.
Yeah.
You learn from it, and that's how you hopefully don't repeat that.
Good.
Which is why I go so much into the book and into the way I run this business about teaching moments.
Right.
That when an agent comes to me with a new curveball and we help them figure it out, and I'll say, I hope you don't mind, but at sales meeting, you know this is going to be a teaching moment.
Right.
And that's not about you're going to take your place under the bus. Right. It's about, let's talk about this weird curveball that happened, how we worked through it so that everybody else who listens to this incident or anecdote leaves the room smarter.
Yep.
I hate meetings for their own sake.
Yep.
And I mean, I loathe them. I'm like a caged animal. So it's important to me that we have teaching moments baked into it, so that everybody does leave the room better and smarter for it.
Yeah. Well, it sounds like people in this industry, as well as many industries, have to have a lot of humility. And that goes a long way. And with Joan, a really good sense of humor on top of it all. That goes a long way too.
I think it's funny.
Because you might,
that's the important thing. I'm the most important audience.
That's true. But you want to have fun.
Right.
And you might as well have fun too. If we're all going to work this hard,
well,
you might as well have a good laugh.
If you take yourself too seriously, then you're just going to get your feelings hurt even more.
Yeah, that's
really
great. That's great.
Yeah.
And it's nice for your clients to enjoy working with you at the end of the day as well. They want you to be smart and competent and capable.
Well, and I
it's
think
nice
that's
what
keeps me in the business, because I really do enjoy it.
Yeah.
If you're a good agent, you're in marketing, you're in sales, but you're also a problem solver for people.
Yeah.
And you're a big hand holder.
Yep.
And I like having a retired engineer as a seller, because I've gotten to the point where I can rib them a little bit. Like, oh, you're very outgoing. You're looking at my shoes instead of your own. And,
right. Well, and ultimately, you do end up liking a lot of the people you work with.
Very much so. I would say I'm so. You can't lean on your friends to become your clients. That's a good way to lose your friends.
Right.
But if you're really lucky, you have clients who become friends, and that's
a real gift.
That's a huge gift. It is.
Yeah, it's great. Well, Joan, we are so happy that you came out here and we got a chance to talk to you about this.
Thank you for reading. What are you going to do differently as a result of reading it?
Well, I think a couple of different things. One, I find it really interesting about raising the bar for the expectations of the people. I coach a lot of agents, so I feel a lot of empathy for their side of the business. And so it's interesting to think about the buyers and the sellers more, because I was thinking more about the agents involved and how hard it is for them, because, I think it's tough to be an agent. I think a lot of buyers and sellers are really hard on their agents. So it was interesting to kind of turn the table and think a little more about what their expectations should be, and how you
and
know,
setting those expectations.
yeah, and setting those
having
expectations.
conversations.
Exactly. Setting those expectations and
Mhm.
expecting a lot more out of them. So I think it shifted me to be more empathetic to
To
all
buyers and
sides.
sellers,
Yeah.
to yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes,
Mhm.
because really I saw it a lot from the agent side previously. So that was very helpful. But more importantly, I think it's just great to have a book because I don't think this has been written about enough. And I think that people like books to read, to get some insider's knowledge and get a lot more inside information. I haven't seen enough books in in the industry, certainly not written by agents.
Well, I appreciated your candor when, yeah, you said, yeah, I'll read an early draft, and I thought, oh God, I'm imposing on you. And then when you read it, you're like, this is not at all what I expected.
Yeah.
Like, who cares about a how-to? Really, who cares about a how-to book for real estate? And it's not how-to.
No.
It's not how-to at all.
Well, yeah, but I mean, I think people would even need that anyway. But I
Mhm.
just don't think that there are books out there for people to give them that kind of insiders information, and also just to make it relatable. I mean, you're such a good writer, and you make it really funny and fun and easy to read and personable. But also, I think that people need they want to feel related to, and it's nice to have something that makes them feel more related to. And I think your book does a great job with that.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right.
And thanks for having me.
Yeah, thanks for coming.